So, good morning, everybody. Let's start. For the people who don't know me, my name is Janko Bucic, Chief Product Owner for Operations, and I have with me today Manjinder from Henkel. Let's say the majority of the session will be done by Manjinder. I will not go too deep to the details. We will kind of give you, first of all, an overview where we are and what we do with OpenTelemetry. Then also what is the state of instrumentation for BTP, and then we switch to the Henkel point of view, and Manjinder will explain to you how we are adopting it, and then I will at the end say some words about the roadmap and give a kind of summary. So let's start. I assume this slide is relatively good known. Just as a kind of reminder, we are consuming different signal types from managed entities. We assign them to the different monitoring use cases. We also open up to receive events and alerts from third-party monitoring tools or event management tools, and do here the same. We have a common event management where all these use cases are exposing where events. It's a kind of, again, common generic infrastructure, which also enables us later on to do sufficient event correlation, cross-use case, as well as cross-managed objects. And then from where we have several downstream activities. Out of an event, you can generate an alert. So we also separated event management from alert management. Or you can send out notifications if you like to keep it a little bit more informal. Or you can directly trigger, for instance, an operation flow to react to a certain event. Or you can also expose all data via external API management. And then again, the flow is already leaving SAP Cloud ALM, so we have to be hooked in the existing IT service management infrastructures of the customer. So if the customer has a ticket system of preference, we have to be capable to generate tickets in these ticket systems. If the customer has a task management established, like Jira, for instance, then we have to also enable this. If the customer prefers to work a little bit more informal via email or chat message, also this is supported. Again, operation flows you can trigger directly. Here we are supporting out-of-the-box automation pilot and also a BTP process automation. And we are currently also open this up for non-SAP operation automation environments. And again, we can expose the data. We expose all data on aggregated level as well as on raw data level. This is a bit a new development, let's say. Originally in our classical platforms, the usual manager focused run, we only expose the data on aggregated level. We change this now also to expose the data on raw data level to be also more flexible. We have then cross analytics and intelligence, embedded analytics in the different use cases, and intelligence AI plays a bigger and bigger role. Classical AI, we started, threshold determination is here a topic, but also Gen AI is in scope, and we have the first use cases implemented as was shown already at the keynote. And cross, we have also business service management. This means for all our capabilities, we are capable to summarize technical services to business services, and then based on this, we can receive status events on this business service level and can expose also a few to business users so that we understand if a certain technical service is not available, what is the impact to the business processes. So this is roughly the functionality. OpenTelemetry is for us an enabler. So we have started originally with SAP Cloud ALM to do a kind of SAP proprietary instrumentation, typically also peer-to-peer. So we are collecting directly the data from the managed service and import this in SAP Cloud ALM. This is now a bit changed. We have a new infrastructure developed, which we call next generation data collection infrastructure, which has several parts. One part is an instrumentation library, which is provided to our cloud LOBs, but also to customers, which embeds standard OpenTelemetry and allows us at the end to accelerate this instrumentation process. And also what we did is, as I mentioned, we decoupled now for our SaaS products the connectivity, the peer-to-peer connectivity. We have a kind of decoupling service in between. This means we have always the connection to this data collector runtime established from the provider accounts for the SaaS solutions, as well as to SAP Cloud ALM. So you can say this connection is always where, so the customer has not to do anything for this. And just if you are saying in SAP Cloud ALM or in Focused Run, I like to get data, then we transport this dynamically to the managed cloud solution, and then the data is sent. So it's a pure dynamic mechanism, which is very good from SAP perspective because it is less error-prone, but it's also in particular important for customers that they have not to establish this connectivity and take care about certificates and so on. So this is what we are providing. Besides this, we have at the inbound side and at the outbound side also open telemetry-enabled APIs, which helps you at the end also for non-SAP products to send us data or also to retrieve data for non-SAP infrastructures. For this, we have now provided the APIs. As you see, we are relatively complete. You see on top the different open telemetry signal types, analytics APIs, we are complete. And step by step, we fill here also the gaps. Not every use case, or not for every use case, every signal type is really relevant. That's why we have also some not applicable icons here in. But if something is missing, we simply add it. Just let us know. But we are relatively complete as you see this, and we hope that at the end of this year we have all planned APIs available. Now it comes to observability for BTP. We have two, let's say, use cases to be considered. There is the BTP PaaS use case, meaning customers are developing their own applications. I think here we achieved a very good status, so everything what we had at our roadmap is more or less available. For the BTP SaaS use cases, meaning services provided by BTP, we are on our journey, but I will give you here now the status where we are, as well as the outlook, what we intend to do next. First of all, what is important, we have to distinguish between problem resolution and problem detection. For problem detection, we use central observability with SAP Cloud ALM, potentially in combination with Focused Run. For local observability, meaning problem resolution, where we go deep in the details, which is also more on developer activity, we are also using local tools which are provided by BTP. Examples for this are the BTP cockpit or the cloud logging service. So what we now did is we are working very close together with the cloud logging service colleagues, and we are using also the identical instrumentation. And this is quite important because with this we enable also that you can link from central observability to local observability. And this we established in particular for customer build applications, but in case also for a SaaS application, cloud logging service delivers any meaningful content, we can also expand this for BTP SaaS application. But it's mainly for PaaS applications, so things which are running on Kyma and Cloud Foundry. So now we go use case by use case, and I will explain a little bit what is this use case about, and let's say what is the status regarding BTP. Integration monitoring is relatively straightforward. We collect from the different involved services integration artifacts, and we correlate with integration artifacts to end-to-end message flows. We have, for this we are using in SAP, for SAP components, the SAP Passport, but we opened up this now also with the W3C context to also incorporate non-SAP components and do also correlation for non-SAP components. You see this example, we have integration suite in between. We have, for instance, an S/4HANA on-prem system. We have SuccessFactors, S/4HANA public cloud, and all of these components are exchanging data, and we like to provide a common picture end-to-end so that you can really follow the message flows and see where it is breaking. This is the idea behind. So what is now the status regarding BTP? Integration suite is obviously available, the cloud integration, since a longer period of time. So it's also completely Passport enabled, so we can use it also for correlation. We enabled the mobile services. We enabled also the event broker. For the event broker, we have not really this end-to-end view because at the end, we just get the failed events here. It's also event, let's say data transfer is a bit different from message-based transfer because it's a completely decoupled process. So in this sense here, we have some limitations. We have completely integrated master data integration, which is for us a very important topic. This means we like to make sure that you can follow also synchronization processes for master data. Here we just introduced now a new way how we monitor this. It's now business object driven. So this means we are not following the message flows necessarily, but we check also whether a certain business object, so whatever material master data, for instance, whether this is synchronized correctly. So it's a new approach we are also introducing here. Actually, we have at the end in integration monitoring 3 different flavors. We have message-based integration monitoring, event-based integration monitoring, and business object-driven integration monitoring. The trend goes more and more in this direction of business object-driven integration monitoring. We have integrated master data governance cloud edition as well as data intelligence. This will disappear, by the way, will be replaced by DataSphere. So I think this we can slowly remove from the slides because the product will somehow disappear. Good. Then we have exception monitoring, so retrieving exceptions. And I think the demo I gave already several times here, the idea is at the end that we're getting the exceptions, and for the details analysis, you have to jump to the cloud logging service where we have also all surrounding entries. On the bottom, you see what we enabled for the different PaaS use cases. You can see we are complete here. So if you build your applications in Neo, if you build your applications in Cloud Foundry or Kyma, or if you build your applications in ABAP, we can retrieve the exceptions out of your customer-specific application log. We had a certain limitation, which is now already closed or near to be closed. This is in particular in the Cloud Foundry and Kyma area, where we had only support for Java. Node.js was missing. Here, a small piece of APIs was missing. This is now also close to my best knowledge. I don't know whether it's already live, but it's close to be live. And then we also are good here. This means for Cloud Foundry and Kyma, we are supporting Node.js and Java, not all programming languages, because at the end, this is the golden path how applications should be built. Then you have real user monitoring. I think this topic you know. We measure on all the different interim stations from front end to back end to also back end ABAP systems, for instance, the performance per user click. Relatively straightforward. And here we are focused on also the PaaS use case, because this transparency you need in particular for your own developed application, because you have to react and you have to then also do the analysis with the help of the cloud logging service. Again, also here we have this deep integration in the cloud logging service, and also here we are supporting Neo, we are supporting Cloud Foundry and Kyma and ABAP. And by the way, also to mention this, OpenTelemetry hooks in particular in for Cloud Foundry and Kyma. This means for real user monitoring, we are using complete standard OpenTelemetry. We have not to add something. This is quite interesting. So it's really working out of the box without SAP-specific extensions. This is different in Neo, which is a static instrumentation, as well as in ABAP, where we have our traditional instrumentation. So OpenTelemetry always hooks in for Kyma and Cloud Foundry, which are open source-based environments, and that's why also OpenTelemetry fits perfectly to this. So I don't see the slides here anymore. Ah, yeah, I see it here. Synthetic user monitoring is a generic capability. You can record certain, you can record certain scenarios, and you can then replay this on a regular basis. So appropriately, also all your applications which are built on BTP or which are provided by SAP SaaS services can be used for this. Quite straightforward. Job and automation monitoring. We have in BTP also different environments where we need job and automation monitoring. First of all, in your applications, you can use the BTP job scheduling service. And for this, we provide you also, with the help of our library, appropriate instrumentation. but we have in BTP, in particular, the capability BTP process automation, which is now also completely incorporated in job and automation monitoring. So this means we have classical jobs which are running on your SAP-based PaaS applications, which you can monitor. And again, for Cloud Foundry and Kyma, jobs which are scheduled with the SAP Job Scheduling Service can be also monitored sufficiently. On the SaaS side, we have again support for build process automation. In the meantime, we are supporting jobs as well as process instances. Process instances corresponds to workflow, so also the classical BTP workflow, what you perhaps know under BTP workflow, if it is part of build process automation, can be monitored. We have as a standalone capability still intelligent RPA, which will also disappear over time, so we also repackaged a little bit their capabilities. The message is build process automation is completely supported with job and automation monitoring, whether it's the workflow part or whether it's the IRPA part, both capabilities are supported. Just recently released is the workflow part. Good. Then we have the configuration and security analysis. There was a strong wish, in particular from the German user group, to have visibility in the security of BTP services. We reacted to this with our capability configuration and change analysis. What we are doing here is at the end, we are collecting systematically configuration items. We store this in our configuration change database, and this allows you at the end to identify whether a certain configuration was changed. And this is now in particular important from security perspective. This means here we like to make sure that you get everything what could be unsecure, that you can discover this and that you can react to this. And for this, we developed this capability. And again, now for BTP, we have the first 4 services which are all dealing with security. As you see, this credential stores, identification are provided. I think the next one is already in the making. This is the identity provisioning service, if I'm not mistaken. So in this sense, we add here step by step more content for the security relevant BTP services. Perhaps also not for everything relevant, but for the security relevant BTP service. So also here, I think we made a good progress, and we have also a good offering. By the way, in configuration security analysis for the BTP service, we also give directly also recommendations, not just collecting the configuration items, but also we indicate how it should be changed. Good, then we have the health monitoring, which is our butter and bread business, put it like this, where we're collecting technical KPIs. Some of these KPIs are relevant more for the PaaS scenarios, others are also relevant for the SaaS scenario. We still see in some SaaS scenarios, in particular in BTP, the need to collect technical KPIs. The best example here is always certificate monitoring, which is owned by the customer, so we have to react to this. For PaaS, it is obvious. You have to also monitor your resource consumption, for instance, for your own application. I mean, if you are building applications with memory leaks, this is not SAP's problem, this is your problem. Appropriately, you need the transparency. And then, sure, also for on-premise systems, we have a kind of lightweight system monitoring, in-health monitoring for SAP-based on-premise systems to make this happen. What is the status in BTP? And as you see, we have also here a very broad coverage. On the bottom, you see again the PaaS use case, so custom-built applications. Again, Neo, Cloud Foundry, Kyma, and ABAP is completely covered. And here we are using also OpenTelemetry for Cloud Foundry and Kyma. In Java, we are in very good shape, I would say, because we have really tons of metrics we can use. For Node.js, Matthias, it's still challenging, let's say. So let's say we have certain coverage, but we know that this is not perfect, so we have to also invest here. And here, to be honest, the OpenTelemetry community is not delivering enough contribution, so as it looks like we have to do something again by ourselves. But okay, it is as it is. It's never perfect. But at least we have a good jump start with OpenTelemetry, and at Java it is also a very good coverage, and the other things we will add. Then we have the event management. I will not go to the details. I think I have anyway to hurry up a little bit, as I just recognize. And yeah, this is just to mention it. We are using also now the alert notification service as a kind of feeder of events to SAP Cloud ALM, in particular for events coming from non-SAP infrastructures. The alert notification service has several adapters for non-SAP infrastructures, and at the end we plan to consume this appropriately and import via these events to SAP Cloud ALM to avoid that we have to re-implement this. This is a planned integration. We have, as I mentioned already, integration to SAP on the outbound side, to SAP Automation Pilot and to SAP Build Process Automation. This is where we process the operation flows at the end. And what we are currently developing is also a generic outbound adapter for operation flows for third-party operation automation environments. One example is with which we are trying this out is this BCS Symphony thing. We have a demo for this, I think, in lunch break, where we also take this as a test candidate to implement this integration. But there are also others out, Ansible, Terraforms, and whatever. So in this sense, we try to use here also, or let's say to be correct and also trigger appropriate operation flows in operation automation environments the customer may have already. Good. Business service management, again, the idea is just to group technical services to business services and then be capable to assign status events to these business services and then also do service level management on this level. With this, I would suggest to hand over to the colleague from Henkel. Thank you.
Perfect. So also warm welcome from my side. My name is Manjinder. I'm working as a BTP lead architect at Henkel and yeah, more or less responsible for the whole BTP platform at Henkel. And yeah, I will just give you a customer perspective about what Janko has already presented, what is possible with Cloud ALM and how Henkel is adapting Cloud ALM for operations. That is a short agenda, a little bit about Henkel. Then I will, let's say, do a top-to-bottom approach. Let's say talk about BTP in general at Henkel, so how it's our landscape looking like, because we are operating a very complex landscape at Henkel. And then we have developed an observability blueprint, which is using Cloud ALM to operate or monitor that landscape. And then also give you a short demo, really in our system, how that is looking for real user monitoring and the business continuity service management. Exactly, and then I will wrap up. Henkel, maybe you know already about Henkel. It's a global leader in industrial and consumer businesses. I mean, some of the brands maybe you already know, like Persil or Schwarzkopf. So we are more or less subdivided in two divisions. One is dealing with adhesive technologies, and the other one is now the new business unit, which is called Consumer Brands, where also laundry and home care products are in, and as well beauty care solutions. So that is more or less, in short, Henkel. What we are doing with the BTP, BTP is one of our mega platforms at Henkel, where we are building innovations on top of the SAP stack. So all the stuff which is not capable to be developed inside the ERP backends. And yeah, this slide is just giving you a short glimpse how our landscape is currently looking. Now we have 40 plus application developed in production and more around 20,000 users across the 14 applications are using the Business Technology Platform on daily basis, which is then also consuming 1.5 terabyte of application runtime. I'm just talking about Kima, about Cloud Foundry. So we have also Kima in place, and overall our HANA cloud footprint is around 30 terabytes, which is quite huge. And on the other side, we are using heavily the integration suite with 60 million API calls, which are routed per month to our integration suite. And that's more or less giving a glimpse. that we are running more than 200 super accounts now, and it's quite challenging for us to manage that landscape. And that's why we have looked at different solutions, not only Cloud ALM, but at the end, Cloud ALM was the best fitting match for us to operate that landscape. This is just giving a short architecture about our landscape. You can see in the middle the big bubble, or the big cloud, which is representing the Business Technology Platform, with the main pillars like extension suites, where we have running several applications, API management, and cloud integrations, which are mainly the central back integration layer into our different SAP systems, which you see underneath, right? So we are connecting several SAP cloud solutions, LOB solutions, which you can see on your left, and as well third-party connectors like ServiceNow or Redis or Cornerstone, which are also then routed to the Business Technology Platform as well. We are using different eDoc frameworks because Henkel is operating around the world, so we need to also for tax clearance, we need to submit documents into the several countries, like the different countries, they are always using different protocols, different solutions which we need to connect, and that's where we are also using the integration suite quite heavily. So that's just giving you a glimpse, and we operated since last year more or less in a very decentralized fashion, so all the different applications have done the operations by their own. And because we started very small, and now 40 plus applications are in the landscape, and we are still growing. We are now going a centralized approach. That means we have formed a centralized operations team who is actually monitoring the whole platform, and that's where we want to use, or we are currently in the phase to roll out Cloud ALM for operations. And we have also looked at other solutions for sure. Now you can see Dynatrace, Datadog, which is also mentioned here. But at the end, one main benefit of Cloud ALM is the seamless integration into the several SAP solutions. So that's why we are using that. And what is important for us that we can track the 3 pillars of observability, right? So we want to collect metrics now of the applications which are running on BTP. We want to track the logs because in case of errors or the application is behaving not correctly, logs are very important. So here we're also looking into cloud logging service, where the colleagues are also working in the tight integration with Cloud ALM, and traces are also quite important. So that's why we need that to understand better the behavior of our applications and to analyze our resource consumption, because typically you start with a cloud application, and normally when you're looking at the graph of the consumption is always going up, right? So for sure we have scalability in place, but mostly the application will never think about, let's say, scaling down the application. And that's why it's very important to analyze the utilization, also look inside the application with open telemetry, which Janko was mentioning, so that we can optimize the resource consumptions. And also identify some bottlenecks, health checks, and also proactive alerting is very important for us, because most of the time in the past, when the users are crying, then we identify the problem. But it should be proactive, right? So that the operations team already knows, okay, the application is behaving quite strange, and also already taking some measurements and not waiting until the business is complaining, because that user experience is also quite important. And one other important factor is the event calendar, which we are also quite heavily using, because there are so many services out. Every application is using different services on the BTP, and to keep track on the changes on BTP, we need to have a centralized calendar so that we know, okay, there is a HANA Cloud upgrade planned for next month or for the next quarter, so that we can prepare that accordingly, because sometimes we are just surprised by an upgrade of an UI5 version in BTP, and then suddenly the application is not working anymore. And that's why we also want to introduce these topics. We have created a blueprint on top of Cloud ALM, where we are collecting application metrics for end-to-end traceability. And as well, especially the real user monitoring is important for us, because our applications are running around the globe, and the runtime metrics are important. Then we are looking at the platform metrics, which, because we are using HANA Cloud, integration suite, all these cross-cutting technologies which we are sharing between the different projects. And here it's very important to also capture the metrics on Cloud Foundry, on HANA especially, so that we can also utilize really the HANA which is running in our environment, and health monitoring for sure. And then we are also looking in other features like alerting, implementation easiness, because we are already running with 14 applications, and now we want to move to Cloud ALM. The instrumentation should be very easy to use, right? So in our case, when using OpenTelemetry, is more or less just plugging in some libraries, and then it's working out of the box. And that's quite good to use for the project, so that they don't need to refactor the whole code. And then also one key aspect is really lowering our TCO, because everywhere you need to reduce costs, and when we can automate many things, then the people can work also on some other stuff, right? Now I come to the demo, just to show you what we have achieved actually on Cloud ALM. So I will just show you. So that is the screen for real user monitoring, right? So you can see there's two applications, and one of our key lighthouse projects called Remap for regulatory. And here at the overview page, you will directly see the different health status of the Cloud Foundry environment. So that then the operations team who is looking at this directly see, okay, all is green, or is there something yellow, and we need to act on that, right? So that is actually the key starting point actually for operations. And then when we're looking into it, then you will see the different requests which are coming into the system. Now this is really a production system which is running currently. And you can see the different requests which are executed with the request types, let's say starting from the UI. And you are also able then to drill down, right? So you can go from the application, and then you can select the different buttons. Here, for example, this button 8, okay, this is not representative, but behind that is coding. And then you can actually also see when it was executed, how was the execution time. So this is quite red. So hopefully our operations team is currently looking into this problem. And then you have different dashboards now, which you can see here. You can go to the front-end metrics. Now this is a quite nice overview, which is showing you the end user time, and the network time and the backend time actually of the different user requests during the day, right? And what is also quite good to see is actually here which operating system, which browsers we are using, which device types it's used. And I think somewhere we have also a nice visualization of a world map, right? You can see where the users are actually operating, because that is very important for our security team, because we need to give also feedback. Okay, do we have any suspicious logins into the systems, let's say from Russia or for China or so? And that's which is quite important, which we can track as well with the front-end metrics, which we're capturing on the UI side. And the same view you also get for backends, right? You can see the HTTP times, how it was looking, and you can also go into the execution flows. Currently, I'm not seeing anything. Or to expensive statements, right? So here actually you will see which UI application is actually behaving good, all the green bars, and there is one application which is called Manage Regulatory Notice, which is behaving actually quite bad for the user, because it is also measuring how the user experience is, and then our development team can also look at the statistics and can also take measurements to improve the application overall. Exactly. So at that, I mean, you are also able to add custom pages in case you want. We are currently looking at this as well, to also have custom dashboards which are specialized for our landscape. But this is currently in development, so I can't show you that that to you now. But more or less, that is the real user monitoring, and then you can also drill down really into the backend calls, into the HANA calls, how long it takes on the HANA side, which was not possible before that, right? So that is one part. The other part where we are also using Cloud ALM is the business service management, which Janko was mentioning, because for us there was a challenge in the past. Let's say the service, one service on BTP is deprecated or is currently not working correct. Let's say HANA Cloud is very slow. And then we need to identify which projects are actually affected, and they need to be informed, right, upfront. So the service, there's an outage on BTP, and we need to react on that, or let's say we need to inform the users at least that the system can behave now quite slow. And there we are using the business service management. Let's say we are clustering each project into a service. No? So here, for example, we remap QA. And here you can then actually see then the different services which are running into the super account or which are actually forming that product, like they're using Business Application Studio, they're using the work zone, destination service, job scheduler, and so on. And what we can see here is actually the event calendar, which I was mentioning. So we are able to see, okay, which upgrades are planned for the future, so that the team who has access to that can already inform the projects, okay, there's an upgrade planned for HANA Cloud. Please be aware. And what we can also do, we can create our custom events, right? So this we also leveraging because our HANA Cloud infrastructure is centralized. And then when we're upgrading one HANA Cloud instance, then it's affecting multiple projects. And how to communicate them, we will use that one. So we are creating an event in Cloud ALM and saying we are upgrading our HANA on that date, and then they can prepare accordingly. So we are not using any email communication. We are going here via this tool. And then what is also nice to see is actually the service level reporting. And you have a nice overview about any degradation which was happening in the past for that product. Because sometimes the business is asking, okay, what is the SLA behind? And then we can also easily, when the audit is coming around the corner, can also give them some informations. Okay, there was some problems during that day. So this is all this alerts which you can subscribe in SAP for me, which are now visualized here, and our operations team is then also having a good overview. Okay, what was actually the SLA during these months or during this year? And that two functionalities. Also, we are also using health monitoring. Because of time, I can't show that to you now, but that is also in place for HANA Cloud, where we are also centrally monitoring our HANA Cloud landscape, which is with 30 terabytes, quite big. Exactly. So that I wanted to show to you, and then now back to the slide deck. I mean, the next two slides are just summarizing what I have shown you into the live systems, real user monitoring, or called also RAM, where we are actually monitoring the user behavior, so what they are actually seeing in the application, backend statistics, front-end statistics, and also which devices are accessing our landscape. And business service management, which was shown, which we're using to manage our events, our internal events, but also the events which are coming from SAP. Yeah, with this, I think I'm more or less at the end. So we are also planning for sure for the future to roll out these two components or three components to the whole landscape, and then also slowly going into cloud logging service, where we also want to use open telemetry to connect Cloud ALM with logging service, so that we have a full end-to-end trace of the applications. And then for sure in the future, we will also connect our ERP backends into Cloud ALM, that we are then having real end-to-end monitoring, because most of our processes starting in ERP, ending in BTP, or starting in BTP or ending in ERP. so that we can see also the interfaces which are going by the API management and all these topics which we are actually also planning together with SAP in the future. And with this, I'm closing with that quote because it's playing a crucial role. Maybe you have attended the keynote of my boss in Sweden, which was also giving, let's say, a high-level overview how Henkel is actually adopting Cloud ALM. It's very crucial part of our daily operations now, which we're using at Henkel. And with this, I'm handing over to Janko for the closing.
Thanks, Maninder. Great presentation. Thank you for this. Yeah, again, now it's just some, let's say, closing words. What is our roadmap? The first part is what we delivered already. More or less, this was already mentioned in my first part of the presentation. This means the PaaS scenario, we are relatively complete. The SaaS scenarios, we have reached a certain coverage, but we have still a certain way in front of us. And this is what you see here. So what are our core topics we are investing at the moment? Again, this Node.js topic for PaaS, which was the only remaining topic, we can now slowly move from right to left. We are currently investing in SAP Analytics Cloud, quite popular at customer side. We have exception monitoring already available. The next thing what we intend to enable is real user monitoring as well as health monitoring. So this is something you can expect in Q4, perhaps in Q1 2025. So it was a bit a journey with the colleagues to get this done, but we are looking with a lot of hope. Let's say we are forward looking. So let's see how this will be applied. Another topic which is absolutely important for us is DataSphere. DataSphere becomes more and more popular. Yeah, at the end, a little bit the problem was we had the data warehouse cloud, we had data intelligence, and now all of this is packaged in DataSphere. We hope also that slowly the packaging of this application is closed. So we have also somehow always to follow what our colleagues in the application development are doing. For DataSphere, the main focus is also on health monitoring, but also on job and automation monitoring, where we started to investigate. Real user monitoring doesn't play such a big role. Exception monitoring is also something we have in mind. So this is what we intend to do for DataSphere. As I mentioned, not for every use case, not for every managed component, every use case is relevant. So we try always to focus on the use cases which are relevant.
You mentioned that DataSphere will replace our data intelligence. We are using data intelligence now and monitoring with integration monitoring. But DataSphere will have something else to replace functionality or something like that because it's not on the roadmap. So all the messages that we now have through data intelligence that should go to DataSphere, how will that be monitored?
Yeah, if it is the same mechanism, I think we will also provide it in DataSphere. We didn't, to be honest, we didn't discuss it right now with DataSphere. This didn't came to our attention, but it's a good remark. We will have a look on this. Absolutely. Current main scope, again, is health monitoring. Here we are relatively far, also in Q4, if I'm not mistaken. We will provide health monitoring and job and automation monitoring. We consider this a little bit like a BW, right? So with the process change, so appropriate it fits in job and automation monitoring. But it's absolutely correct. We should also make sure that this part, what we developed for data intelligence, is also available for DataSphere. Absolutely. Because if I'm not mistaken, data intelligence will disappear over time, and then DataSphere will take over this functionality. Absolutely. Thanks for the remark. Also, an important topic where we are investing is analytics cloud. Is work-zone service. Was also feedback from customers that if you are using real user monitoring, that somehow, and the applications are started by the work-zone service, that we need then also real user monitoring for this. This is something we are also investing heavily to get this done. Process automation processes, again, this is now in the meantime available. This slide is already a bit outdated. This means we have jobs as well as processes supported. So we can also move this to the left. On the more midterm horizon, We intend to completely re-instrument Integration Suite. Again, Integration Suite now is also a couple of different capabilities. We have on one hand side cloud process integration. We have now also event mesh and advanced event mesh, and we have the API management. Also, we structure their product completely newly. Also, we replace certain things. API management, as you know, it will be replaced by an internal implementation. And appropriately, we have here also the chance to have a common open telemetry NGDCI-based instrumentation. So this looks also quite promising. As you see, it will not become boring. So things will evolve, new things will come. We are investing also in sub-built apps, some sub-built code on the horizon. So this is also coming up. So we have a lot of interesting conversations, and step by step we close all the gaps. And if you have a gap perceived, just let us know and we will do our best to close it. Good. This is our customer influence page. So again, this is the formal channel if you like to raise a request in our direction. To be honest, we are very positively surprised how positively this is used and how often we get things. So quite good, and this is the official channel, and it helps us also to balance the different requirements. So what are the key takeaways? First of all, we try to use open source software as well as open standard whenever possible. I think open telemetry is for us an enabler. It was good that we invested in this. We get a lot of stuff for free, and we extend it whenever necessary. Secondly, for the BTP PaaS services, we try to provide out-of-the-box instrumentation whenever possible. Anyway, it's nearly impossible for you to deploy something in our SaaS services, so you have somehow to rely on us and on our SaaS services, because this is always a common effort to make this instrumentation happen. Third thing, we open up SAP Cloud ALM from analytics perspective as well as from raw data perspective. This means you can inject data to us also for non-SAP products. I think we gave a demo that you can also do this for a Tomcat, for instance, if you like to do so. But we also provide the data for external tools. So if you are using strategically perhaps another external tool, you can also get the data from us. So the next thing is we try to have a seamless integration between central and local observability. We like to make sure that you have one instrumentation, a common data, shared data, so that you can also navigate from central to local observability. And again, like always, it will be never perfect. So if something is missing, if something is hanging, if you have any problem related to this topic, then feel free to get in touch with us, and we will try our best to resolve it in a timely manner. So these are the closing words. Thank you very much for your time. I don't know whether we have much time for Q&A.
Well, we might have time for one or two questions. If you raise your hand, I will come to you with the microphone.
Do you synchronize the event calendar, or you plan to synchronize the event calendar with your ITSM main system, like ServiceNow, I think, was on one page?
Yeah, no. The question was to me? Exactly. Yeah, so we are using ServiceNow for actually our IT calendar for maintenance, and it's on our roadmap to synchronize that. I'm not sure if Cloud ALM is supporting it, but yes. That is the next step which we want to do.
So we have BSM has also an API, so you can retrieve the data, what we call status events from the BSM, and expose it also to your IT calendar of choice, put it like this. No problem. You can also integrate it in your ticket system. I think in particular ServiceNow we did already in one customer context, if I'm not mistaken. Absolutely possible.
Just to stay with the calendar and the other way around, also importing events?
This is also on the roadmap. I cannot tell you on top of my head when exactly, but I think it should not far away, Q4, Q1 next year. You can also import events. You can maintain it by yourself, as we just showed, what was shown by Anjinda, but also you can automatically inject status events.
Okay, thank you, Janko. Thank you, Manjindra, for the insightful presentation.
Thank you.